Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. This week, I'm going to check out more Zayn interviews. That firm one was really cool, wasn't it? And lots of people have been recommending this Zach Lang. Was that his name? That was right, wasn't it? Oh no, Zach Sang. I've never heard of the dude, but he's done a few good podcasts with a few people by the sounds of it. I really do want to get into all of those voices, the Louis documentary, but Room Under the Stairs, man, it's been ages since I've listened to an album that just I don't know, like it gets in me, or I don't know what it is. Because like with the Taylor albums, I love a lot of the songs on there, and I love the albums, and I kind of do, listen to them or a few times and then skip through them and stuff, come back to them. But there's just something about this album, man, that I don't know what it is, but I find myself listening to it more than I've listened to anything new for ages, I say more, I don't even know, maybe only a handful of times I've got all the way through it, just in between doing things or, walking somewhere, get on the bus or something. So I haven't really sat and listened to it all the way through since I reacted to it, I suppose, but pretty much all the way through maybe. But anyway, let's see what this is going to be about. I love that intro to begin with, the
Hi,
neon.
beautiful human. This is really cool and exciting and really different. And God, you look good, and you're like emitting this beautiful energy.
Thank you.
Zayn's here.
Hey.
Cool, man. So, well, this, I don't know why I wasn't expecting, this dude. Like, what's he? Is he famous for something else? Is he just famous for doing, the podcast? Is that how he's come to prominence, or I don't know. What was I expecting? Some sort of millennial Zayn Lowe, I suppose, or maybe like I don't know what I was expecting. Someone like Andrew Schultz or something for some reason.
Yay. Yay.
I was expecting a beanie or something.
This is weird, right? Like, is releasing music today weird to you or foreign at all? Like, how does it feel?
I wouldn't say it's necessarily weird to release.
It looks
music.
well, doesn't it, Zayn?
I think
skin looking good.
When I think about my life in general, it's quite a weird situation. I'm a kid from Bradford in England, which doesn't have much,
Another great
opportunity
cardigan as
to
well,
really
yeah.
leave that city for many people. So the fact that I'm here at all, even in America, I think is a big thing, never mind doing what I'm doing. At this point though, I've got used to like making music and putting it out and being expressive with that. It's my art. And it's something that gives me peace and like a safe space.
Awesome.
Like you said, there's not too many variables there anymore. I've done it a lot, I've sat with it, I've sat in that space, and it's my safe space.
Seasoned professional
making
now,
music
right?
and expressing it.
What does it mean to do it all on your terms?
To do it all on my terms, I think it's a really interesting question. I guess is just to fully be behind the project, yourself, word for word, and really understand what it is that you're representing and what it is that you're about, instead of necessarily what people expect from you.
By the way, that takes time to figure out, right?
Or having to deliver something
you
to
have to live a little
labels
bit of life,
on the
you know?
clock
You
and
have to
stuff,
A little bit.
deadlines and
away
that.
from all the noise and hustle and bustle of what this industry is sometimes, and that's why I live where I live. I live like away from it all, so I can sit in that space and think about things, and contemplate what life is and actually live like a normal human being without being treated like I'm some sort of alien.
How beautiful is it to live normally?
I love it. It's the only way I know how to live. I feel like I'm a really grounded person at this point in my career. I'm not too interested in the glitz and glam of things,
Yeah,
and
good,
I just
man.
enjoy normal, simple things in life.
There's a lot to be said for that, I suppose. Cillian Murphy springs to mind because he's sort of like the I don't know how you would phrase it, like the anti-celebrity, you know, but like he's just not interested, is he, man? You know, you must, everyone's seen, I suppose, like the bored Killian memes, you know. I see a lot of like Eastern European people sort of using them as well, you know, as his sort of resting face, you know, just serious and just uninterested, isn't he? Which is cool, man, because you can just see he just doesn't. He doesn't. I suppose. Excuse me. I suppose it's kind of a proof as well, isn't it, of how much you engage with the machine, you know. Some people complain about being famous, don't they? Although I think most people seem to say, you know, that the benefits outweigh the negatives. But I mean, how much like does Taylor Swift, of course, Taylor Swift, I don't need to say at this point, the Swift, probably not, right? How much does she engage? Everything she does is on her own terms, isn't it? And that's like something I suppose she's fought for and cultivated, you know, because she doesn't have to toe to anybody, does she? You know, whether that's perhaps with the one thing she wants to do, the way she sort of behaves. But it is kind of, I don't know, is it in bad taste when celebrities complain about being famous? Some of it must be a fucking pain in the ass, right? So maybe if you want to, I don't know. I find it, I kind of, do I want to make a judgment on it or sort of think about what that must be like? But I suppose, for one, every situation is going to be different, isn't it? But until you actually experience it, I suppose I don't want to say anything that's going to come back and bite me on the ass in the future, you know. If for whatever reason I did blow up, you know. Anyway.
Like just being around my loved ones and cooking food and going outside, having a barbecue, taking my dog camping, doing some gardening, you know, simple things where there's no infiltration from other people's like expectations or opinions.
How do you keep that space pure and safe? And do the skills that you use to keep it pure and safe, I'm assuming they're kind of acquired over time, right?
How do I keep which space pure and safe?
All of it.
All of it.
Even Pennsylvania, like what you consider your home and your sanctuary.
I think that place just gives that vibe anyway, naturally. You know, I think it has that like safe feeling to it.
Interesting.
It just feels super grounding. There's so much nature there and just scenic, beautiful things that you can just sit and stare at for 25 minutes, you know, like, and there's no time limit. Time seems to move a bit slower there. And that place just gives me that itself, you know. It's not something I have to necessarily like work on to preserve. It's not mine, you know. It's just something that I've slotted into out there.
And over time is like, it's something bigger than you. It doesn't belong to you.
Yeah, I don't own it, you know. I like the vibe there, so I'm there.
Which is such a random place to like the vibe.
It is,
and
a lot of people say that to me too. You saying like, you know, a lot of people say random things. I
wonder where Zach's from.
Questions. The main question that I get asked is
why
Pennsylvania, you know? And it was just coincidental. I ended up there and I just fell in love with it, you know? It's not really no rocket science or brain surgery. It's a beautiful place and I love it there, you know what I mean? It's that simple.
Do you manifest? Do you believe in the universe?
Somewhat, yeah. Not necessarily like manifestation, but I believe that like fate is a thing. And I believe that what's meant to be will happen.
That's beautiful.
Isn't that fascinating, man? Like, the argument of, I guess, would it be determinism versus free will? Yeah, I mean, is it an argument? Not really. It's is it a mix of both? I don't think. It seems to me, I suppose, that as humans we experience time in a linear fashion, don't we? But there is only right now, which I kind of can get my head around and my feeling around now, but there was, I suppose, a long time when I couldn't, you know. Probably because I was always future traveling, I suppose. The looking back thing, I'm doing a lot more of that now, trying to work things out, but I was never really one for looking back. But as for manifesting, I mean, it does make it. I suppose, what does manifestation mean when you hear people say it? You know, when you hear people talk about The Secret or that book or any of that sort of stuff, it's kind of like it just sounds like bullshit, doesn't it? However, as I've said before, you know, there's no shortcuts, but it seems there are kind of cheat codes, you know. And they're the obvious things, the things that we don't really want to do. They're the things to do with sacrificing things in the moment to potentially make your future better, you know, or easier, you know, or to create less resistance, or to make your body and your soul and your mind function more efficiently, I suppose, you know, more in harmony with things. And there's what's it called? I get this word wrong. The Akashic records, or the Akash records, something, you know, I've heard that spoken about, which is like some supposed universal intelligence. And I heard Sadhguru talking about this ages ago. And maybe I'm confusing that with something else, but I think that was kind of his anyway, he said, you know, some people like just seem to land on their feet, you know, no matter what happens, you know, things go well for them. And he kind of either said or hinted at that it's because, you know, they've got the universe on their side. And then he said 3 times a day, you know, you should just look up to the space. You know, not to any god or to anything dogmatic or anything, but just look up to the space. He said once before the sun goes above 30 degrees, once after that, and then once after the sun sets, which I don't know if that's like got anything to do with it, maybe apart from getting up early and stuff. I don't know. But anyway, he says 3 times a day. This takes seconds, you know, 3 times a day. Just look up. I don't know if you have to put your hands together. I just feel like the urge to do that, you know. He said, just, you know, look up and just thank, you know, the space for holding me. Because just thank the space for holding you in place for today, you know. And he's like, if you do that 3 times a day, you'll get the universe on side, you know, and things will start to move better for you. And I did try it for a few months last year, I think, and did things begin to improve? I guess they did, you know, but I mean, it's like, it's very interesting, isn't it? Because it's like, if this was a scientific experiment, that's like, what's the word? Causality? So it's not like I couldn't possibly prove that had any positive impact on my life, you know. Because, well, for one, I'm doing lots of other things, you know. I'm constantly trying to exercise regularly, to eat better, to, you know, drink enough water, to get out in nature, to try and just learn more and be more and all that sort of stuff. So, however, it just a signal, you know? Is it like the placebo thing, you know, which is a documented real thing, isn't it? You know, the power of the mind over the body, like, there's just so much we don't understand, right? You know, and I was very, as a kid, I suppose, or as a teenager, certainly, I was very dismissive of, even in my 20s, very dismissive of anything that didn't seem to be grounded in like logic or science or something, which is kind of ridiculous because I'm only basing that on the wider culture that I was exposed to, I suppose, because I ain't a scientist, you know. I don't understand what the fuck all that's about any more than I understand what, you know, what religion's about or spirituality or a lot of stuff, you know. But anyway, I tried that for a while, you know, and things began to get better. However, I haven't done it for a long while. Maybe, I don't know when I stopped, maybe at some point in the new year. And things have continued to get better for me overall, you know. So the idea of manifestation is interesting because it's different from wishing or dreaming or wanting, isn't it, you know? Because you've got to, I believe you can manifest things. It's like, I'm interested in the idea, I suppose, of having an idea or a dream. And like it's like what is an idea and what is a thought, you know? Is it, you know, where do they come from? And the best I've heard it explained or kind of think about it is that it's like it's something that is trying to make itself manifest in this reality, you know. And what we pay our attention to kind of draws that into being, you know, in this universe or this reality or whatever. However, you can't just sit around thinking, you know, I want to be a great rock star, you know, or I'm going to be a great actor. Because, well, I've got a friend, man, actually, and I remember him saying, you know, he was in a band. He's quite a bit older than me, I mentioned him before, but anyway, he was in a band that I just sort of heard the legend of, you know, that split up before I sort of got into the scene and stuff. But and the years later, he did play me like tapes of them playing. They were just an instrumental band, a drummer, guitar player, and bass player. Anyway, they did this song about the Manson murders, and I think I can't remember, it was probably like 15 minutes or something, you know. But it was I'm digressing quite a bit. Try and get back to my point in a minute. It was he sat and played it to me and sort of explained, you know, this is the bit when they're going up to the house and this is the bit when they're doing the murders. And it was just this. They were a fantastic band, man. And I remember him asking, you know, what happened, or, you know, why did they split up, or why did they stop? And I guess a lot of the usual reasons. But what he said was he didn't understand, I guess, how it all worked, you know. He goes, I just thought somebody was going to come and discover us, you know, and give us a record deal, you know. So they never, I suppose, ventured out further enough, or they were just, I don't know. I don't know if that's fair to say or to talk about that really, but maybe I suffered from a similar sort of thing, although I did play shows all around the country with a lot of the bands I was in. But looking back, the product wasn't good enough, you know. And I used to talk about it as a product, I never would have done before, because that feels like, you know, like corporate or heartless or soulless, but it can be both, right? You need the songs weren't good enough, you know. Nothing about it was good enough. I wasn't wise enough, I don't think. Anyway, manifestation. So we can change things, can't we? You know, we can do things in life, but we've got to take action. And it starts small, and we've got to. Your intention has got to your attention has got to match your intention, you know. That's it in a nutshell, I think. So, Jesus, I'm just talking a lot.
There's also peace.
This is going to take weeks to get through this.
Yeah. Once you accept that you can't control everything, there's always a little bit more peace, I think.
Yeah.
True. You talked about time, and I'm excited to talk about this album, which I would, and you please correct me if I'm wrong, I would describe it as R&B folk.
That's a good. I haven't got a name for the genre. So many people when they listen
it's a
to
good
it,
description.
that's the first question they ask too. They're like, "What genre is this?" It's just me, you know.
Yeah, he's right, man.
It's just music that I like listening to, my influences. So I'd say it's Zayn's genre.
Paolo Nutini
like,
is the closest I can probably
There's no, like,
get to it, you know.
specific,
but I wouldn't know what his would be.
strategic plan behind it, like formulaic, you know, musical intellect. It's not done in that sense. It's just expression. And whatever came out. And if you want to call it R&B folk, you can call it that, you know.
It's timeless.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
Time is a recurring theme on the album. Has time taken on a new meaning today than maybe it's meant before?
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting thing. In life, I feel like certain things happen, you know, that change your perception in a lot of ways. I think the main thing that happened to me, obviously, was me having my daughter. And I just realized that time goes real fast, like real quick, you know. Before that, I felt like I had so much time. Like in my early 20s, I was like, yeah, we can, you know, take time. It's all good. We're chilling. And now there's like this level of urgency, like where I feel like
that's good, isn't it,
I have
man?
to, you know, do things, and I have goals that I want to accomplish, and I want to show.
I think I haven't had kids yet, but that's, I mean, I don't know if I will or not, but